Hey y'all! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate Godwin, aka Neon Fuzz Studio, and I am so excited to show you today how to make an extra super chunky scarf. I have been wanting to make a super chunky scarf for a couple of months now because I was influenced from some folks on Instagram, such as Read Write Thrift. I decided to make a Pinterest board, and that just got me so excited for the potential of chunky scarves. I was really feeling these like super long scarves. I'm on a short timeline because I am going to Tromsø next week, which is in the Arctic Circle. We booked this excursion to go see the Northern Lights, and it's 7 hours long, kind of like in the night, and they take you to all these different viewpoints. Crazy enough, Tromsø made the New York Times list of 52 places to visit this year. That is the inspiration for this scarf. I was going through my stash and I have some wools, and I started playing with crocheting those really thick and chunky. The stitch that has been my favorite recently, I add it to everything. I add it as ribbing, I make hats out of it, is yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only. I attempted to make a cardigan. What I don't like about it is how heavy it is and also the shape of it on me. As much as I really wanted this sweater to work out, this isn't for me. I'm thinking what I'll do is frog this and use that for this project. I first played with holding 3 strands, crocheting that up with a 12mm hook. And I really like the look of that, but I was almost like, maybe I could go chunkier. So I did 4 with a 15mm hook. This is the look of that. And I think this is it. I think this is the scarf. I'm really excited about this. Next step is to do a big swatch. I really want to be able to gauge how long to make the whole scarf. I think I'm gonna go for like 6 or 7 feet so I can like really wrap it around, tie it, let it hang down. I'm gonna do a big swatch and measure exactly how many chains I'll need to make to start it off. I'm gonna show you how to get a swatch and measure that, and then make a scarf that is the length that you want. And the width will just be defined by how many rows you do, right? Because you go like this along the length of the scarf instead of like this. Now this is the part where I'm going to show you how to do the stitch and the process that is going to make this entire scarf. To make your swatch, chain about 10 to 12 if you're using a 15mm hook like me. Next up, you want to chain 1 to turn. You will be chaining 1 to turn on every row of the scarf, and then you're going to be doing a yarn over slip stitch through each of your chains. What you do is you yarn over as if you were starting a double crochet. You insert through the chain, you yarn over that, pull it through, and then pull the 2 back loops that are on your hook through the front loop. Okay, so it's a little different from a single crochet, but once again, yarn over, slip it through, yarn over, pull that through, and then pull that new loop through the 2 loops that were already there. Go across the whole row just like that, yarn over slip stitch, chain 1 to turn. Now we're going to be doing this into the back loop only. And this is a little tricky. This way, you're going kind of through the top and just through the back loop. And you're doing that same stitch. So yarn over, insert through the back loop, yarn over, pull that through, and then pull the 2 stitches through that new stitch. And that is your yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only, and that is how you will make this entire scarf along with this swatch. I've swatched as much as I could with what I had left of some of these balls, and I just love how it looks. I do know that I'm going to have to be really careful with holding 4 yarns in tension, like this as a scarf. It's like so beautiful. I'm going to measure a swatch of this for gauge. I've got a little ruler, and I'm gonna kind of measure right in the middle. Starting from this stitch here, 4.5 inches. Vertically, 4.5 inches equals 7 stitches. I just chose 4.5 inches because it was a nice even number for the block that I have. For you, it might be 4, it might be 5, somewhere in that general vicinity.
To figure out how long I wanted to make the scarf, I played around with my tape measure for a little while. I recommend doing this in front of a mirror or a camera.
I think I'm actually gonna go for the 8-foot long scarf. I want it to be dramatic, and 8 feet is 96 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that down here and show you how to do my calculations.
All right, folks, this is the important part because this is going to carry you through this project and so many more. Once you've got your measurements, we can do these really fun calculations. We're going to be cross multiplying. So we know that 7 stitches yields 4.5 inches. These numbers might be different for you. So I've put that on one side, and we're trying to solve for X, right? How many stitches will give us 96 inches? So I put that on the other side of my equation. Now is the magic of cross multiplication. We're kind of like multiplying on this diagonal and it makes this sort of X or a cross. So on one side of my equation, I've got 4.5 times X equals 96 times 7. First, I'm going to be multiplying 96 times 7, and that gives me 672. So 4.5x equals 672. Simply divide both sides by 4.5, and x equals 149.3. So simple, and it will work for any calculation you want to make.
I've done my calculations, and funny enough, it works out to 149.3 stitches to get an 8-foot scarf. So I'm gonna round up to 150. That just seems too perfect, too serendipitous. I will also post how many stitches you would cast on for a 6-foot and a 7-foot scarf, but I do recommend swatching this because your tension and the way you crochet could be different. This can work for any calculation that you're wanting to make in crochet, knitting, whatever. You just do a swatch and then you use this kind of cross multiplication thing. Then you can calculate the exact dimensions of what you're gonna need. I will chain 150, do a turning chain, and get going with my yarn over slip stitches. Alright, so this is where I got to last night. Yeah, it's looking super scarf-like, and it's actually like exactly as long as I wanted. So on brand with this outfit. I think this is maybe about 1/3 of the total width that I want. It's definitely gonna like wrap around a few times and be super thick and cozy and warm. I wanted to share my system for how I'm containing the balls of yarn. So I'm actually keeping them in this basket, and this just like, it keeps it super organized and makes it really easy to just like go, go, go. I am finding sometimes it'll get a little uneven, so just like really making sure it's like nice and smooth before I crochet it up has been important. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm just tying a magic knot when I want to change yarn. And of course you can trim it quite close. And then now I can continue crocheting. I worked on this a bunch yesterday, and this is where I'm at. It is looking beautiful. I tried it on and I was actually kind of realizing I don't think it needs to be 1 foot wide. I think that could actually be too wide. So I'm at 15 rows and I measured and it's about 9 inches. So I think I'll do another 1 or 2 rows and then that'll be that.
Once you get to your final stitch, complete your final yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only, pull your yarn through and cut it off.
It's finished! Alright, so I'm just going to weave in the ends and then block it. The shape looks awesome. I wouldn't need to block it, but this project was sitting around for a while and it got a bit dusty and I was actually sneezing a lot as I was making this. So I am going to block it.
To block this, I soaked it in the sink and then ran it through a spin cycle on my washing machine. I measured carefully all over to make sure that it was 10 inches by 8 feet and pinned in place. Check out the texture on this scarf. It is so beautiful. And it's 8 feet long. There are so many ways that you can style this scarf. I've been playing with knotting it simply, leaving it long, which is super warm, wrapping it around and around, tucking in the ends. I love to do this style as well. I'm not sure what that's called, but it somehow looks less preppy with this really chunky scarf, which I like. I like to tie a mini knot, which is so fun. And I could just gaze at these giant loops all day long. And of course, the matching hat to complete the look. And finally, just simply draped.
I'm completely in love with this scarf. The texture is just divine. It feels so warm and cozy, perfect for the Arctic Circle or any place that it gets really cold. One thing that I was considering was some sort of trim because I don't usually love the look of just like an exposed chain row. And I tried a number of different things, some single crochet, moss stitch, slip stitch, and nothing looked quite right. But I think the finished result is really beautiful. Another thing I considered was the bottom of it because it can kind of flare out. And one way that you could prevent that would be to just do a slip stitch on the first stitch of every row, and that'll just kind of cinch it in a little bit and prevent any sort of like warping or pulling over time. But I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been such a pleasure making this scarf. If you try it out, comment below or follow me on Instagram and send me a message at Neon Fuzz Studio. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy crochet, sewing, DIY, all that. And I'll see y'all next time.